This is the Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Bruschi and continuing coverage of the case against Bryan Kohberger.
Lots of things happening in the case against Bryan Kohberger. We're going to get you caught up on all of the developments basically in the last week or so, about June 17th forward to today, the 25th of June of 2025. Let's start with the headline. This was one of the most important weeks in months for the Bryan Kohberger case. No flashy headlines, no viral TikToks, but a ton of movement behind the scenes that will be shaping the path to this trial. And we're going to break it all down for you right here. And before we do, let me remind you, please hit subscribe wherever you're listening to us, whatever podcast platform it may be. And if you're watching us on YouTube, hit subscribe there too. Really helps us grow the channel. And then you can participate in all the stuff we got going on here, all the conversations, because I want to hear your comments on this case in this video. Please do check that out. And I might note now, if you want access to our videos in advance, you'll get stuff like up to a week in advance. We put all different pieces out and all scheduled a little bit in advance unless it's breaking. But there's all sorts of stuff you get well in advance and other perks. You can support us on YouTube as a subscriber. You can join us as one now. So do check that out on the YouTube channel and get access to some of our extra content well before anyone else. As we make it, you get it. Okay, continuing on with this. So, June 18th, let's go back there. Major pretrial hearing. Kohberger's defense team appeared in court for that critical hearing to argue their motion to delay the August 2025 trial. Ann Taylor, Kohberger's lead public defender, made her case. They're overwhelmed by the avalanche of last-minute discovery from the prosecution and haven't finished forensic testing. And this is a key part. They haven't been able to get full cooperation, they claim, from several key witnesses, especially in Pennsylvania. She painted a picture of a team buried under late-breaking evidence and procedural stonewalls, unable to prepare an effective capital defense. That was what she was saying. And what we're going to do now is break everything down, that and more, into what happened here this week, what it means, and what's coming up next, or what we're going to start calling what? I don't know how you're going to say it. It was in a rap song. What? I don't remember which one it was. I can hear it in my head. Anyway, the prosecution led by Ladau County Prosecutor Bill Thompson and also Special Prosecutor Josh Hurwitz wasn't buying any of it. Their argument: the defense has had well over a year to prepare. They've had access to full forensic files, interviews, phone data, and DNA analysis since mid-2023, and delaying any further would set a dangerous precedent of perpetual continuance. Hurwitz said the state is ready now and implied that these last-minute complaints are more about strategy rather than real barriers. Judge Stephen Hippler didn't immediately rule, but he leaned heavily towards keeping the trial on track. His exact words: both parties should continue planning and preparing as if the trial will be proceeding on its scheduled date. Translation: don't bank on a delay. The judicial patience for extensions may have run out. Then we have the alternate suspect filing that went in. A sealed curveball. June 18th is when this one went down. In a closed-door session, Kohberger's defense team submitted a sealed filing alleging that another individual or individuals might be responsible for the murders. They reportedly discovered a tip or a set of evidence pointing to an alternate suspect. They wanted permission to present this theory to the jury. Judge Hippler, again, didn't rule immediately, but in prior hearings, he made it clear you need more than a rumor to meet the legal threshold. The defense must show that this new theory is both specific and credible, not just speculative. If the judge finds their evidence weak, it will be excluded entirely from the trial. This alternate suspect strategy could backfire. The court is already viewing the move with suspicion. And unless it introduces real doubt, think DNA, verified timelines, or a confession, it could weaken the defense's credibility with the jury before opening statements even begin. And new Pennsylvania witnesses have been revealed. This happened on June 24th. Another bomb quietly dropped. The defense subpoenaed 2 more witnesses from Pennsylvania, bringing the total to 7 out of the state witnesses linked to Kohberger's pre-extradition custody and background. One of those witnesses is reportedly a corrections officer who interacted with Kohberger after his arrest at his parents' home in December of 2022. The officers include individuals who may have known him personally or interacted with him during his brief detention in Pennsylvania before extradition to Idaho. All 7 are scheduled for a hearing next week to determine whether they'll be legally compelled to appear in Idaho for that trial. It signals that Kohberger's team is trying to build a narrative of his post-arrest behavior, possibly to suggest innocence, stability, or a lack of guilt, indicators like confessions, erratic conduct, or violent tendencies while in custody. It's a lot of places it could go. And it's important to note the prosecution did not object to the hearing, which suggests they are also preparing to cross-examine these individuals thoroughly. And there's also the leak fallout and special prosecutors' request. Let's not forget the elephant still in the courtroom, the Dateline NBC episode that aired in May and revealed previously sealed evidence, including photos, timelines, and forensic details never before made public. Kohberger's team filed a motion to appoint a special prosecutor or independent investigator to determine who violated the gag order and leaked the materials to the press. The prosecution filed a sealed response, and the judge is now reviewing both motions. A ruling is expected soon, and if granted, it could lead to subpoenas, contempt proceedings, and possible sanctions, especially if it's discovered that someone on either side leaked confidential discovery to the media. It's not just prosecutorial as a procedure. It's not just a procedural issue. It's a potential explosive credibility fight before trial. So what does all of that happen mean? Well, what it means is the August trial is still very much alive. Despite the defense's claim of unpreparedness, Judge Hippler is clearly losing patience. He instructed both sides to keep moving forward as if the trial is happening on time. And that's no idle comment. The court has worked overtime to accommodate a case involving more than 20 terabytes of digital evidence, dozens of witnesses, expert testimony, and a potential death penalty phase. So barring a procedural breakdown, jury selection is still on track for late July, with opening arguments likely in early to mid-August of 2025. What about that alternate suspect strategy? It's risky. If Kohberger's team can't clear the evidentiary bar, the theory won't be allowed in court, and it'll signal to the jury that the defense has no other compelling narrative beyond poking holes in the prosecution's case. If, however, they do clear the bar and the court allows this other suspect theory in, even partially, it gives them something more concrete to work with during the trial. But as of now, it's a gamble that could weaken them more than it helps. And there's the new witness that might shape jury perception, calling corrections officers and Pennsylvania locals to testify about Kohberger's behavior after his arrest is likely an attempt to show normalcy. In other words, he wasn't violent. He didn't confess. He behaved logically and rationally. But this tactic has its limits. Jurors won't base a verdict on a post-arrest manners. If anything, prosecutors could argue that a cold, calculated killer wouldn't break down in jail anyway. Still, these witnesses could affect the sentencing phase if the trial reaches a guilty verdict and moves into the death penalty deliberation. The leak investigation, what does that mean? That could rock the courtroom if the judge finds evidence that someone close to the case, law enforcement, prosecution, or even the defense violated the gag order. Repercussions will follow. We're talking possible contempt charges, mistrial motions, or even limits on what the press can access going forward. It also erodes public trust when the case this high profile starts leaking sealed evidence to the media. It creates a circus atmosphere that undercuts the integrity of the process. If Kohberger's team can't delay the trial, they may use this as another angle to claim a jury pool has been tainted beyond repair. So, what is next? Rulings. Well, they're going to be coming any day now. Judge Hippler will issue a written decision on the motion to delay the trial. It may even be out by the time you're seeing this. He'll also rule on whether the defense's alternate suspect theory is admissible. And we're still waiting on whether the court will appoint a special prosecutor to investigate the Dateline media leak. There's a witness compulsion hearing that's coming up. Court will decide if 7 Pennsylvania witnesses must travel to Idaho to testify. If approved, expect their testimony to appear early in the trial, likely to set the tone about Kohberger's mental and emotional state post-arrest. And the forensic and pretrial motions will continue. Both sides are finalizing pretrial motions on admissibility of DNA evidence, expert testimony parameters, and witness limitations. A forensic rebuttal witness may be introduced by the defense, challenging the state's use of touch DNA on the knife sheath. Just isn't legal. It's not a legal chess match anymore. It is getting into psychological warfare here. At the last minute, the defense is trying to muddy the waters, alternate suspects, witness delays, leak allegations. Prosecution is done playing nice, and the judge is showing signs that the court will not be held hostage by stalling tactics or media circus antics. Bryan Kohberger, for his part, remains expressionless, silent, cold, and distant, even as the walls close in, allegedly. The next few weeks will determine whether this case moves forward at full speed or hits the kind of procedural pothole that derails trials for months or years. But for now, the path to August is still clear and getting hotter by the day. In the comments section, tell me what you think of those developments in the case against Bryan Kohberger. Love to hear them on YouTube. And if you're listening to the podcast, press subscribe on that platform and check out our YouTube channel. Just search Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. You'll find it. And there you can comment on all the stuff. You can watch the show. You can even get advanced episodes of the show when you subscribe on YouTube and become a member. You know, a little premium section over there that you can get access on with the video on YouTube. So do check that out. Curious to hear what you guys think about where all this is standing in the case of Bryan Kohberger. My name is Tony Bruschi. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We will talk again real soon.
Craving non-stop true crime updates? Press subscribe now and get the latest cases, analysis, and expert commentary delivered straight to your feed. Only from the Hidden Killers podcast and True Crime Today.